Okay, for this project, I am using Lion Brand Wool Ease. It's a chunky yarn. Now, I'm not going to lie, this yarn it's for the amount of yarn that's in this roll, it's actually kind of pricey. I think it was like $6, and there's not really much in a roll. So, I think I spent it was like $100 on yarn, so you definitely don't have to get this yarn. It's a lot thicker. I wanted it to be thick because I'm making this jacket for me, and I wanted it to be thick. But there's other chunky yarns. If you want to use the chunky yarn, there's others that are cheaper. So, but this is just what I used. And you're going to need, if you get chunky yarn, you're going to need about 1,500 yards to make it the size that I'm making. But if you want to use like even a smaller yarn, like a regular 4-ply or something, you can do that too. But it's just going to take more yarn, you know, you'll just have to make your squares. It's going to take more to make the squares the size that you need. But, you know, you can use this, what I'm showing you, it don't have to be a coat. You can use it with a lighter yarn and make it a, you know, a light jacket or, you know, whatever you want to make. And then I'm going to be using, for the chunky yarn that I'm using, I use the size N, which is a 9mm. And again, if you're using a lighter weight yarn, you want to use a smaller needle. Okay, and I'm making mine to fit me, so it's going to be like a size large. And all I'm doing is I'm starting with the basic granny square. And you don't have to use this type of granny square. You can probably use any kind that you want, but I'll just go ahead and show you real quick in case you want to see how I'm making mine. You just want to start with a slip knot on your hook. Now I'm going to start with a chain of 4. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to slip stitch through the first stitch. And it's going to form a ring. Like that. And I'm going to start off with a chain of 3. And that chain 3 counts as a double crochet. Now I'm going to go back through the center of the ring and I'm going to work 2 more double crochets right through the center. So there's 1 and there's 2. So counting that chain 3, I have a group of 3 double crochets. So now I want to do a chain 2, and I want to go back through the center of the ring again and do another group of 3 double crochets. So there's 1, 2, and 3. You can pull it down as you go. Again, I'm going to do a chain 2, and I'm going to go back through the center of the ring and do another group of 3 double crochets. One, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to chain 2 again. And I'm going to do 1 more group of 3 double crochet. So 3 doubles again. There's 1, 2, and 3. And then I want to chain 2. And then I'm going to come around and I'm going to slip stitch into the top of this beginning chain 3 that we did. And that will close that round off. So what I have, my first round is 4 groups of 3 double crochet with chain 2s in between them. So if you can pull your tail down here and it'll usually close up that center circle a little bit. That way it's not so big. Now I'm going to start off with a chain of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that chain of 4 counts as a double crochet with a chain 1 attached to it. So now I'm just going to come over here to this next chain 2 space and I'm going to do 3 double crochets right through the space. These are actually the corners of my squares. So go ahead and do your 3 doubles. like that. Now I'm going to chain 2, and I'm going to go back into the same space again and do 3 more doubles. 1, 2, and 3. So my corner consists of 3 doubles, chain 2, and 3 more doubles, and that's what's going to go in every one of the corners. So I'm going to actually chain 1 in between, chain 1, come over here to this corner and do the same thing again. So I'm going to go ahead and do 3 doubles, 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm going to chain 2 again, go back into the same corner and do 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to come over here to this next corner, but I want to chain 1 in between, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to go right through and do 3 doubles, 1, 2, and 3. Then I'm going to chain 2 and go back in and do 3 more. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 in between, come over here to this last corner space and start again. I'm going to go ahead and go through it and do 3 doubles. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 more doubles. But if you remember in the beginning, we did a chain 4, which counted as a double crochet with the chain 1. So this is actually going to be one of our 3 double crochets. So all we need to do is do 2 more doubles. 1 and 2. And now you want to slip stitch into the 3rd chain of this chain 4. The 3rd stitch. Just like that. And that's what you have so far. Okay, now we're going to start our next round by chaining 3, which counts as our first double crochet. Now we're going to go right here in this space and do 2 more double crochets right through that space. So there's 1 and 2. So counting that chain 3, we have 3 double crochets in that spot. Now we're going to chain 1 in between, and now where we're at is we're at the next corner. And again, we're going to do the same thing we did for all the corners. We're going to go through and do 3 doubles. 1, oh, there's 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to chain 2, go back into the same space, and do 3 more doubles. 1, 2, and 3. Then I'm going to chain 1 in between, and I'm going to go right here in this space, and it's going to get 3 double crochets because it's not a corner. Only the corners are going to get this right here. 3 doubles, chain 2, and 3 doubles. That's just the corners. In between the corners gets 3 double crochets. So just go right through that space and work 3 doubles. There's 1, 2, 3. Chain 1 in between. Jump over here to the corner, and we'll go ahead and do our corner stitch, which is 3 doubles. Chain 2, and back in the same spot, and you do 3 more doubles. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 in between. Okay, now we're in the spot between the corners. So now we're just going to do 3 doubles in this spot. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, and then we jump over here and we do our corner again. So you just want to repeat this row all the way around back to the beginning. Okay, when you make it back to the beginning, you want to end it by slip stitching in the chain 3 you started with here. And now for my size, excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and tie off. That's all the rows that I'm going to do for my size. But if you want yours to be bigger than the large size that I'm making, mine's probably like a large, extra large. But if you want it to be bigger, like, I would go around again. And I'd probably make it like a 2X size, maybe 3X, something like that. So go around again if you want to make yours bigger. Now you're going to need a total of 66 squares. Okay, I'll go ahead and show you how I'm sewing it together. If you know a different way to sew your squares together, that's however you want to do it. But the way I do it is the seam is not going to be visible from the outside. You see it, I guess, if you do that. And it's going to have these little ridges here of the granny square. So all I do is I sew them wrong side facing me. So this is the right side. So the wrong side, put your good sides together like that. So the wrong sides are both on the outside. And I just start and I go through the first loop only. You can see how there's 2 loops. I go through the first loop only on this piece. And on this back piece, I go through the back loop only. Like that. And then I kind of just start off by chaining 1. Now I'm going to move to the next stitch. First the loop closest to me on this piece. Like that. And then when you go back on this piece, you go to the loop farthest away, the back loop. So not this loop, that loop. And slip stitch. And then you go to the next one. First loop on this piece, back loop on this piece, slip stitch. And you just do this all the way down, matching up the stitches. Back loop on this one. Like that. First loop. Back loop on this piece. So it's really easy. Now, like I said, if you want to go through both loops, or if you sew granny squares a different way, some people I know use a yarn needle and they sew them up. So, however you can get your grannies together. But this is how I'm going to do it. I don't always do it this way, but just doing it this way this time. And I just do that all the way down. Front loop on this piece, back loop on this piece. And when you flip it inside out, you can see the ridge that it's leaving. That's the loop that we're skipping. So that's how mine's kind of sewed together. And that's how you want to sew all of them together. If you're following me, this is how I'm going to do the whole piece, like that. Okay, now this is how you want to lay it out to sew it. I'll show you here what I have done. I have 4 across and 5 down, and that's actually the back, the whole back. So 20 on the back. And these is 2 and 5 down, and that is the sides that go like the front part of you, that flaps through the front. And it's sewed together, except for right here. These are separate because these are going to be the armholes. So my dog's around here walking around. That's what that clicking sound is, his toenails on the floor. It's sewed. Here's the big back piece, 4, you can see, and then the side. it's sewed all the way down here. Starting, this one is left open, and then I sewed halfway on the next one. So you can see where I sewed, I left half of it open for the armhole. And I did the same over here. This whole piece is left open, and then half of these two. So this is sewed right here, and this is left open. Now you can sew this any way that you want. I actually sewed it by slip stitching it together. I'll show you real quick how I did that. So the way I sewed it is where you can't see the seam from the other side. Some people like to sew it on the, see, I sewed it wrong. I sewed it wrong side out like this. So when I sewed, I did it where my wrong sides were out. So the seam is not going to be visible, but some people like the seam to be on the outside, and if that's the case, if that's how you want it, sew it where the right sides are facing you. So, but either way, now you can sew it one square at a time, if that's how you're most comfortable with. I actually laid mine out just like this, and I sewed right across, and then I went right across, and then this way, and this way. And then I took it and I sewed down all of them together. And then I just did half of this one, left these open and down, and then like this. And I did that all the way. But that's completely up to you if you want to do it. You know, a lot of people like to do it one at a time. But when I flipped it over, I got all these tails still to hide, but this one will fold in, and this one will fold in, and then I have my armholes, which is a square, and then half of these. So once you get that all sewed up, and here's where we'll put the buttons down the front, we want to go ahead and sew right up here, these squares together, and these squares together. You want to leave these open, because that's where we'll attach the hood later. So just fold. I'm going to sew mine wrong side out, so what I'll do is I'll just fold it, and I'll just sew these two together at the top, and then I'll have my armhole, and then these two right here at the top. This one and this one will get sewed together just at the top, so this armhole will still be open, and this will still be open, and that's where I'll attach the hood later. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that, and then I'm going to do the armholes, or the arms, or the sleeves. Okay, for the arm, it is 3 rows of 3, so 9 squares. And once you get them sewed together like this, you want to sew them, if you're following along with me, I'm making it where my seam is not visible, so you just kind of fold it where the wrong side's facing you, and then we will just sew it up like this, so it's just like a cylinder shaped. So you get that sewed shut, and it'll be a sleeve hole, but it'll be wrong side out. And then what you want to do is sew it on. I'm sorry, I just ain't got much workspace, so I gotta keep. And then once you get your little cylinder shape, you'll sew it on your sleeve hole here, wrong side out too. So here's my sleeve hole, and here's the wrong side, and this will be sewed up wrong side, and you just sew it right along here like this. It's really easy. Just sew it the same way you've been sewing it, slip stitching it on. And I got one finished. Show you here. You can see where I sewed it on here. Here's the sleeve. Here's my seam. And then all I did was, once I was done sewing it, I flipped it right side out. So I just pushed my sleeve back through like that. And there it is. That's the sleeve, and the seam is the exact same. as all the other seams that we've been doing. So it's real easy too. You just do both sleeves the same. Okay, the hood consists of 8 squares sewed like this. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 2 rows of 4 like that. And then it gets sewed on right up here. About that gets sewed on right up here. Here's the flap, and then along these back 2, and then along this flap. So it's sewed just like that. And then once that big piece is sewed on, you just fold the top in half and sew right up here. And then you'll have a hood. Okay, now what I'm doing is, I'll try to show you here, my work area is not really that big, but I'm going around the whole, up the sides and around the bottom and up the top of the hood with single crochet, just to clean up the edges. And I'll probably do more than 1 row, but I'm not sure how many rows I'll do. But I'm actually on the first row. If you look, you can see I'm only going through the back loop only, just to kind of, and you don't have to do that, but just to kind of, so you can see this ridge of the granny squares. So I'm just doing a single crochet through the back loop like this. And I'm doing this all the way around the whole entire jacket. And this is going to make all the edges look nice and clean. And you can see I'm just going through that back loop. Just like that. And that leaves that ridge there. Just, you can go through both loops though if you want. It's really up to you. And I'm going to do this all the way around. Let me try to show you how I'm doing it. But this coat's so big. But I'm going you can see the bottom. Here's the bottom. You go all the way around the bottom, up the side, and then all the way up. Here's the hood, around the front of the hood, and back down the other side, all the way, and then across the bottom, and you'll meet back up to where you started. Okay, once you make it back after your row of single crochet back to your beginning, I thought about going around again, but I actually don't think I'm going to have enough yarn, so I don't want to have to buy more. I'm just going to end it here. But of course, if you want to go around, keep going around as many times as you want. If you want to make this edging thicker, that's completely up to you. But when you get back around, all you want to do is slip stitch into your first single crochet, and then clip that, tie it off, and hide your tails. Okay, I'll show you how I'm going to do the buttons. I got these wooden buttons. I got these at Walmart. I'm actually going to put them right here where the granny squares kind of meet, like that. Now I'm going to use I don't know if I'll put one all the way up here or not. That's completely up to you if you want to, but definitely going to do 4 all the way down. Now I'm just going to sew these buttons on just like you normally would right here with a piece of yarn, any yarn needle, or you could use regular thread in a thread needle. That's completely up to you. But and then what I made was, I mean, my camera's situated. If I had a bigger place here, is these loops, so they'll loop over to it. And I can show you how I did that real quick. They're real easy. You want to leave a long tail so you can sew it on. So start with the slip knot. And then make a chain of 8. Unless, of course, you have smaller buttons, you don't want to make that big of a loop. But my buttons are probably like 1.5 inches, so I'm chaining 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then I'm going to go and slip stitch back through the first one just to form a a ring like that, and I'm going to pull a long tail through again so we can sew it with and clip it. So now you have like your loop like that, and I kind of put a knot down in it so it doesn't come undone. So I just take my 2 ends and tie it like a knot here. I tie it once like that, really tight like that. And now you just want to sew them on the opposite side. Like you can see, I'm sewing it in between the granny squares just like I did, so they'll match up with the buttons. So I'm using my yarn needle, and I'm just going to do 1 strand at a time. And I'm just coming back up a little bit, right back up here, kind of like where the row of single crochet kind of starts. And I'm just going to sew it on so it doesn't, so it's real tight and so it doesn't come undone. So I kind of just pull it through, and I go back up through the knot 1 time like that, and then I'll go back through like that, pull it real tight, and then I'm going to weave this tail in the back really good so it doesn't, you don't want it to come undone. So I'm going to weave it all the way around here really good. And I'll just do that. I'll probably do it some more, but I'm going to do the other one. Now I just do the same thing with the other tail. I kind of just go through the knot like that. And then I'll go back up through it. That way it's sewed on really tight. And back down again. Because you don't want it coming undone. And then I'll hide that tail too. And that's how I do them. So I'm going to do the same amount of loops that I have buttons. If you want to put more buttons, like a whole bunch down, that's completely up to you. You do it however you want. So I'm going to finish these loops, and then like I said, I'm just going to sew these on with, you can use thread and a needle if you want, but I'll probably just use a piece of yarn and a yarn needle. And I'll get these all sewed on. Okay, one last thing I did was, after I got the sleeves sewed on, I went around them with a row of single crochet. Just kind of like we did when we went around the whole piece. I actually did 2 rows though of single crochet, and again you can do as many or as less as you want. That was just to clean up the edges a little bit.